Happy New Year, nerds! I'm Feefee, and today we're talking about bullet journaling. I feel like I got in the midst of bullet journaling when it was like at its peak, like 4 or 5 years ago. I would honestly still consider myself a beginner. I'm not as cool as some of these amazing other YouTubers who whip out the watercolors and make like super elaborate and artistic spreads. I am a simple girl. I like pens and markers, and that's about it. I'm not like a retired art kid or anything. I am creative, but not as creative and artistically gifted as a lot of people are. I love bullet journaling because it's simple, it's easy, and it's practical. It's like a practical creative outlet. It's something that helps me plan my life and keep track of stuff and keep me focused on my goals and on the things I'm grateful for. So I want to share a very simple spread for the new year, 2025. I keep it simple and I keep it low key, which I needed when I first started bullet journaling. I was really overwhelmed with how intense and competitive it almost is, whereas I like have bad handwriting on a day-to-day basis, so I was really worried about starting a bullet journal. I've learned a lot and I've come a long way. I'm not a perfectionist anymore. I just get the job done and I have so much fun while doing it. And it's not something that I take too seriously. I don't have big, long habit trackers, mood trackers, sleep trackers, monthly, daily, weekly goal sets. No, I keep it simple. So let's hop right in and I can show you the very simple spread that I did for reflecting on 2024, looking forward to 2025, and I'll show you guys my spread that I made for January. Let's hop into it. Here she is, our woman of the hour, my bullet journal. This is from the brand Limon. It's easy to buy on Amazon for like 15 bucks. Here are all the supplies I used today: a pencil, a pen, the Sigma Micron fine liners, and the Tombow Food Nosuke brush pens. They're honestly worth the hype, unfortunately. And then a bunch of assorted markers from my collection. Can you see a little bit of a theme we got going on here? So as we crack this bad boy open, you'll be able to see that I'm about halfway through this already. This is not a brand new journal. Even though it's nice to start the new year with a fresh new journal, I decided that I wanted to use up the rest of the pages that are in here because it's a perfectly good notebook. And I feel like a lot of us have half-used notebooks laying around our house, so let this just be a testament to you that you can still use a notebook that's half full. So we're getting started on my Reflect on 2024 and Look Forward to 2025, aka my accomplishments and goals page. I have 2024 on my left side and 2025 on the right. I have each side split into 4 sections. Here I'll write down everything I accomplished, all the events that I had this year, or at least the main ones, some of my favorite things from this year, and some improvements I would like to make or things I would like to change from 2024. Then I erase all my pencil marks because you saw I had everything outlined before I went in. Then I decide to highlight all my headers. Then I decide, I want all my headers to be the same length, so I go in with that. Then I decide to underline them. But guess what? I decide I want this to go all the way to the end of the page. So this is just a little sneak peek into the chaos that is me bullet journaling, and it's very imperfect. Here, as I start on the 2025 side, I use this pack of pens that I have to rest my hand on. If you're right-handed like me, sometimes writing on the right page can be a little bit difficult because your hand feels like it's kind of like floating in space. So I'll use like a second book or something else to rest my hand on. So I tried to keep these all aligned on the right side, which was me pulling a little bit of Microsoft Word out of my repertoire. But it helped that I outlined everything first because spacing this would have been an actual nightmare if I was just freehanding it. I decided to count exactly how many yellow squares I highlighted to mirror the exact same thing on the other side. And this time, instead of just freeballing it with the blue marker, I decided to get out the ruler. And if you look close, you can see all the little bite marks from my cat. This is like her favorite chew toy. And here's a brutal mistake I made. These lines are off. So I skip it because it hurts my feelings. And then I go back because guess what? This isn't about perfectionism. It sucks, but oh well. When I first started bullet journaling, I felt like a lot of pressure to get things perfect. And a lot of that pressure was just from me. I wasn't sharing it with anybody. It was just for myself. But this sort of became an exercise of embracing imperfection, like genuinely embracing it, not just like dealing with it, but kind of enjoying the weird little quirky parts about my drawings and my words and my crooked lines, and just thinking that, hey, that actually looks kind of cute, rather than staring at it forever and regretting all the decisions I made, because I trashed a lot of pages and a lot of spreads, used way too much whiteout at the very beginning of my bullet journal journey, and it was so pointless. Like, it's really not that serious. So if you haven't noticed by now, I'm kind of doing like a stars, space, constellation sort of theme. I just kept it super simple, and I went in with a bunch of stars, sparkles, and a little moon doodle, which, by the way, was my first ever successful crescent moon doodle. So round of applause, please, if you don't mind. Also, kind of off topic, but I just feel like I need to say that you do not need to start your bullet journal at the start of a new year. You can start it at the new month, a new week. It doesn't matter. There's no rules, really. And here's me going crazy, and I did a little Saturn doodle. I definitely looked up a lot of these more complicated doodles up online, including this little Milky Way that I'm going at here, which I ended up hating at the time, but guess what? 2 weeks later, and I'm looking at it, it's cute, it's fine. So in the moment when you're doing it, just let it happen, just let it go. I promise when you look back on it in a week or even a year from now, those little mistakes are not going to stand out to you as much as they did the day that you did it. So I just added some finishing touches, and that is our 2024-2025 goals and accomplishments spread. And now I'm moving on to my best of 2025 spread. This is my replacement for a future log. If you're familiar with bullet journaling at all, that phrase might sound familiar because a future log is essentially a calendar view of the full year. A future log is pretty much useless to me because when I have plans coming up 6 months from now, I'm not gonna be like, oh boy, let me whip out my bullet journal that's sitting at my desk at home. I'm gonna plug it into my phone calendar. I don't know if any of you are like that as well. I'm sure you are, but the majority of plans that I make for my life are written down in my phone. Like actual events are written down in my phone. This bullet journal is more for personal goals or things that I want to get done. Not things that necessarily have deadlines, but just something to keep my weird little brain on track with everything. So if your goals with the bullet journal sound kind of similar to mine, then I don't really recommend a future log. I think if you're new to bullet journaling, go ahead and give it a shot, but I have never ever utilized a future log, and I've done like 4 of them. So I will not be doing another one this year. And I decided to replace my future log with my best of 2025 spread. What is the best of 2025 spread, Fifi? Well, I'm so glad you asked. This is basically my replacement for the previous spread I just did. The events section of 2024, it's completely full. Like, I've already filled it out, and it gets very, very clogged with all of the awesome things that I got to do all year long. And I decided that this time, rather than reflecting on everything that I did at the very end of the year, at the end of each month, or honestly at the end of each week, I could go through and write down all of the cool stuff that happened. This gives me more space to write down more stuff and help me be more specific. Like, I can write down that I went out to dinner with my aunt, or I got to play board games with my cousins. Stuff that I don't get to write down in my yearly reflection because I just don't have enough room on that tiny little piece of paper. But here I will have the room for it. I also want to talk about hand lettering for a second and like calligraphy. So you can see here, I kind of did like a little bit of a serif font on the month headers, and then the header above, I kind of gave it like a negative space feel, which in a second I'm going to color it in because the lines were pretty uneven. But basically, this just took some practice, okay? This did not come natural to me. What I do is I look up fonts on Pinterest or Google or whatever and just try to copy it the best I can. And I don't take it too seriously. I don't try too hard. Sometimes I will outline it in pencil and then go over it with a pen, but sometimes that's too much work. So I just kind of wing it. And it doesn't always turn out right, as you can see by the headers and stuff here. They're kind of messy, but that's fine with me. This is really a practice of embracing imperfection. as previously stated. So find some cute, reasonable fonts on Pinterest and just try your hand at them. I promise you'll get better with time. Thank you, by the way, for the standing ovation that I got for drawing my first successful crescent moon. And you're about to get a full-on tutorial from me on how to do it, because obviously I'm an expert at this. So I draw 2 circles, one large one and one slightly smaller one that kind of overlaps the other one, and then I outline where they cross. Boom. Then I drew a little star, and then I colored it in with like yellow marker, which I immediately regretted because the blue navy marker that I used like bled everywhere, which just pretend it's shadows, okay? Imperfection. We're embracing it, guys. Come on. Then I added a few more details, but honestly, I wanted to keep this pretty simple because I might add like a key in later to like write down different events or whatever with different colors. But that is it for our best of 2025 spread. I'm so excited to use this. And now we move on to our monthly spread for January. I go in with my brush pen with a beautiful calligraphy heading. Remember guys, it takes practice. And I outlined it before, so I cheated twice. Then I noticed I was about to write down my goals section and I noticed it was slightly off center, and a quick look at my grid spacing page at the front of my journal proved to me that I was off. I'll explain my grid spacing page a little bit more in a second. I'm not the first to talk about this, but I want to show you something. This is how I draw my stars. Okay, catch that? Basically, you draw a star like you normally would, but you just skip the lines in between. See how you draw like 5-pointed star? Just draw little lines avoiding the cross section in the middle, and you'll be able to draw like an open star. I remember the art girl at my school joked about how she could never draw a star, and I was like, well, I can show you. Changed her life, and I'm still honored that I was able to do that. Doubt she even thinks about me ever, but I remember teaching her that, and I thought it was so crazy because she was like such an amazing artist, but she could not doodle a star without it looking super wonky. And yeah, so I'm still honored by that moment to this day. But here I was trying to be artsy and add some highlights and lowlights to January, and honestly I feel like I ended up ruining it, but honestly it's fine. Something that you might notice is that I don't have a habit tracker, just my 3 little bullet points for my habits, which is because I am horrible about tracking my habits, so I just do what works for me. I know a lot of people love to track all their stuff, but especially with habits, it felt like a chore rather than like something fun to keep track of. It's definitely something I want to try again, but it's not something I decided to do for this month. As you saw, I wrote a cheesy little quote on the bottom of the page, which I usually try to write some sort of quote or inspiration thing, something that I want to keep on my mind this month. And as cheesy as it is, I have been reading it like every single day, and Adu appreciates it. So I'm glad that past me put it in there. Moving on to my favorite spread that I do every single month, my highlight of the day. Honestly, even if I don't keep track of anything else in the month, I'll usually do a highlight of the day because it's just so important to me. The way I set it up is my cute little header at the top, and then I flip my page over and highlight every other line with whatever accent color I want for the month. This part is honestly key for me. Flipping the page on its side and pulling towards you gives you straighter lines than if you were to just do it like side to side. I also think every other line, one, it makes the page have a lot of color in it, and it makes it way easier to write every single day because you know exactly what day you're writing in, aside from just the numbers on the left. My highlight of the day spread is a non-negotiable. I have this in every single month because it's a little bit of gratitude practice, it's a little bit of history keeping, and it's just so fun to go look back at even last month and see every single thing you did every single day. It's a must-have every single month for me. At the bottom of the page, I had a little bit of room, so I decided to doodle some constellations, Aquarius and Capricorn, because it's January. But tell me, why is Aquarius so creepy? Like, why is it crawling at me? What is it supposed to be? Hold on, let me look at like what the animal is. Well, I just discovered it's not an animal at all. It's like a pot dumping water out. Clearly, I'm not a huge zodiac sign person, but whatever. Happy birthday to my sister. Her birthday's in January, and she's an Aquarius, aka creepy crawling vase. The rest of the spread, I just am decorating it with little doodles, as you'll be able to see. But I wanted to talk about something very, very important, which is my nail color. My nail color is navy, okay? Next to the navy marker, you can really tell that it's navy. But y'all want to hear about how I was such a rebellious kid? I wasn't, by the way. But my mom did not allow black nail polish because that's too emo, and that's not good. Well, I decided when I was in high school and I was brave enough to buy a dark navy nail polish. I think it was this exact same brand that I have now. Low-key, it might be the same bottle. I'm not sure. But anyway, I remember painting my nails with navy. She was like, that is not allowed. Take it off. And I was like, no, mother, it's navy. It's not black. And navy was my favorite color. So how rude would it be for her to tell me to take off my navy nail polish when she knew it was my favorite color? Like half my wardrobe was navy. So she let me keep the nail polish, and I won. But yeah, guys, that's a lore drop, and this is our monthly spread. So now I move on to our weekly spread. You guys now get to experience the best weekly spread of all time. This was like my holy grail in college, and honestly, even to this day, when life gets super busy, it is unbelievably helpful. Basically, the left page is split into 7 sections, one for each day of the week, where I can write down specific deadlines, events, appointments, whatever. I can get detailed on the left side. And on the right side, I split it into 2 sections. The top part is a rolling weekly, and the bottom part is like a notes section. If you want a really good in-depth video on what a rolling weekly is, go watch the Plant-Based Brides video on it. And I'm sure other people have done it, but that's where I originally saw this idea from like 5 years ago. Essentially, it is a rolling list of all the things you need to do that week. So say you have turn in group assignment, edit video, declutter closet, pay rent, all these sort of things. You can just write those down where you know I need to do this at some point this week. I just don't know exactly what day. And it allows you to just have that freedom of seeing it on the page right in front of you, but still allowing you the space to dedicate certain days to it without setting it in stone. Like, yeah, I didn't get around to calling the dermatologist on Wednesday, but that's okay. I can just do it on Thursday. Again, go watch Plant-Based Bride's video on it because she'll do a way better job at explaining it than me, but I just love this for my weird little brain. It just helps me so much. Not only list out the things I need to do, but also clearly see the things that I accomplished all week long. It was legit a game changer. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but just give it a shot. I think everyone should give it a try at least once. Then my notes section on the bottom, I'll like write out the weekly meal plan or daily to-do lists, brain dumps, whatever I need to do. I have space in my little notes section to do so. That is our 2025 bullet journal spread, you guys. It's simple, 4 pages. I know you can do it. And you don't have to just start with 2025. Just start at whatever month you're currently in, whatever week you're on, and go for it. It's easy, I promise. But while we're here, I want to quickly go over some of my old bullet journal spreads. You can see this is the beginning of the notebook that I wrote this in. Remember how I was only halfway through it? This is the first half of it. I have all sorts of different themes. See, I did try to do some habit tracking multiple times. You can kind of see my rolling weekly in action and even my Christmas gift tracker from last year. Now this journal is actually my first ever bullet journal, same brand. Yeah, I bought the same one twice in a row, but I'm gonna show you some really bad spreads. Not including my grid spacing. 10 out of 10 recommend that one. But I originally started bullet journaling as a way to track my budget, which really was not the best method, but it worked for me a little bit. And you guys can just see how bad these spreads are. Like, what is this? What is this weekly spread? I just tried so many different things, and it's taken me 4 years to figure out that I don't like habit trackers, and I really love the rolling weekly, and I really like more simple spreads, even though sometimes I do like to splurge and be a little more artsy-fartsy, like this October spread. Obsessed, Harry Potter theme, the kitchens? Are you kidding me? For my meal plan, it was so much fun. You can also see the weeks that I really loved. This one was very simple, and I really utilized it a lot. You can also see that I'm not a perfect journaler, and sometimes days are empty. Things don't get tracked, things don't get written down, and that's okay. Just for funsies, I want to show you guys my collection of bullet journaling stuff. First things first being my Crayola Super Tips. 10 out of 10 recommend those. And then other markers, pens, and stuff. You guys can kind of see for yourselves. Even though I'm sharing this, you don't need these. You don't need $20 pens or $6 pens. You just need any old pen And if you want to get creative, use the stuff you already have. Compared to other people on the internet, I really don't have that much stuff. Most of my collection consists of pens. I don't have excess washi tape or stickers or fancy cardstock or anything. A lot of this stuff was gifted to me, including this cute mushroom pen from my Aquarius sister. The only things I originally bought to start bullet journaling was a nicer journal, the Crayola Super Tips markers, and then the Sigma Micron pens because I wanted to feel bougie. Everything else I collected or was gifted over time. Here are my extra notebooks. That first one is my gratitude journal. This one is completely empty. We'll see what I do with it. This one I plan to use as my junk journal this year. It's gonna be my first ever junk journal, so check out my Instagram if you wanna get some updates on that. But don't let the pressures of overconsumption stop you from starting a bullet journal. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end if you did, and I hope this was truly inspiring because it was also a little bit embarrassing for me to show off all those mistakes to the internet, but whatever, it's fine. It's just proof that you are able to do it, because if I can do it, you can do it. If you guys happen to use any of these spread ideas, please let me know on Instagram. I would be so honored and probably cry real tears if you did. I hope that this somehow gave you a little bit more courage to either start bullet journaling, start a reading journal, any sort of little tiny creative outlet. The simple things is what kind of bring that spark back into your life. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Feefee out.